Yes, the Giants get swept in Cincinnati. They fall 3 games under 500 at 61 and 64. And this is not going to be a fun trip to Queens. This is Giants Roundup on Sunday, August 19th, Game 3 of a Game 3 series between the Giants and the Reds. Mercifully, we're done with Cincinnati. You can follow on Twitter, join the Crook and Kite page on Facebook. Most importantly, please be kind and hit that subscribe button. Suarez needed to be the stopper, and he just did not have it today. He comes in, pitches 2 2/3 innings, allows 7 runs, 5 earned, balloons that ERA to 4.68 on the year. And then Ty Block, not that much. Ate some innings, but still not that great. 2 earned and 2/3 of it. 2 2/3 innings pitched. Hunter Strickland is scoreless 2/3 of an inning. Ray Black. I think Ray Black, with the Giants needing a starter on Tuesday, I think Ray Black could be a candidate to be optioned along with Andy Suarez. 2 earned and 1 innings pitched. So I think Black could be a candidate to go back down for a breather in Sacramento. But the Giants bats, they allow 8 hits, 4 runs, which is good. The bad part is in the last 2 games, they allow 18 runs, which is not all that wonderful. Now the Giants are 61 and 64, lost 4 in a row, 3 games under 500. 7.5 games out of the division and 7.5 out of the wild card. And if Colorado or Arizona wins, they are realistically in danger of being 8 back after today, which is not a great spot. But it did start off with Giants did get a lead in the top of the second with a sacrifice by Gorkis Hernandez. It scores Nick Hundley, 1-0 Giants. Then the bottom of the third came, and that's when Andy Suarez gets lit up like a pinball machine today. Casali doubles to left. It scores Herrera 1-1. Billy Hamilton sacrifices. It scores Casali 2-1 Reds. Scooter Gennett triples to right. It scores Castillo and Peraza 4-1 Reds. And then Suarez with the dagger, the home run 6-1 Reds. Casali singles to left 7-1. That would spell the end of Andy Suarez's day. He goes 2 2/3 innings pitched, and allows 7 runs, 5 earned, and strikes out 3. Andy Suarez could be a candidate to be optioned tomorrow to Sacramento, since they are likely going to be calling up Chris Stratton for the Mets series with the Giants needing another starter. It will likely be in game 1. It will be Derek Holland, the Dutch oven, Kermit, whatever it is. It will be Derek Holland in game 1. Game 2, I think, is likely Chris Stratton. They are going to call him up tomorrow. Game 3 will likely be Casey Kelly. And then game 4 in Queens will likely be Madison Bumgarner. And Rob Humphrey chiming in saying, that was ugly. I say that the fans in Cincinnati are very friendly, though. Can't stay because I'm in game traffic. All right, stay. Just don't text and drive, and don't be on your phone and driving. Safe travels back home. I hope you had a great time at the game today. I could not tolerate the humidity of Ohio, so better you than me over there. And yeah, I think this is hopefully the Giants' Dr. Phil moment for Larry Baer and the investors. That's all I could say about that. Then Ty Block comes in. The Reds hit parade continues. With a home run by Peraza, it scores Hamilton. It was 9-1 Reds. Then the Giants would try to make a little bit of a comeback here in the top of the 7th. Gorkis safe on an error by Barnhart. Steven Duggar scores 9-2. Then Hunter Pence doubles to deep left. It scores Gorkis 9-3. Then Billy Hamilton triples to right. Casali and Dixon scores 11-3. Looks like Ray Black has kind of hit a brick wall as of late. He could be another option to go back to Sacramento tomorrow. I think maybe he could benefit from a breather in AAA. We'll see what happens since they both have options. And then d'Arnaud doubles to deep left. It scores Joe Panic 11-4. That would be your final. But the fun part was the 8th inning for the Giants. The bottom of the 8th, Chase d'Arnaud comes in, pitches a scoreless frame. And d'Arnaud gets the scoreless frame, so it was nice to see d'Arnaud pitch. Spared the bullpen a little bit. I thought we would see Mark Melancon in this situation. But hey, d'Arnaud did better than Melancon, so I'll take the result. Luis Castillo, a former Giant prospect, allows 3 runs, 1 earned in 6 2/3, strikes out 9. Amir Garrett, 1 1/3, 1 earned run. Now the Reds improved to 55 69 on the season. I think Riggleman certainly deserves an opportunity to get the interim tag removed this offseason, so we'll see what happens with that. I think the Reds have played much better since he's taken over as manager. Joe Panic, 2 for 4 today. That's not too bad. Steven, teach me how to Duggar. Teach me how to Duggar. All the Giants love it. All the Giants love it. Goes 2 for 4 today. And Gorkis 0 for 3. I think with the season pretty much becoming a lost cause until McCutchen clears waivers, I'd like to see a lot more of Austin Slater out in left field. I think we need to see a lot more of Austin Slater in the final part of August and the month of September. I think I do like Slater. I think they need to try using Austin Slater in the leadoff role at this point. I think that would be a good idea to go with. For the Reds, Billy Hamilton goes 2 for 3. Jose Peraza goes 3 for 5 for the Reds. And then Suarez hits his 27th home run of the year. Peraza his 8th home run on the year. Now the Giants, Bochy had a closed-door meeting the past couple days ago. It didn't work, but I'm wondering if maybe the team needs a players-only meeting at this point. Just something to get the bats going. Maybe a roster move needs to be made. Maybe start purging some 40-man roster. But maybe start purging some of the 40-man roster at this point. I just don't know what. But I think even Bochy's starting to. But I think at this point, Bochy's just is just out of ideas at this point. I just don't know what Bochy can do. I think September is pretty much going to be his farewell month. I think at some point very soon, the investors and the front office are going to meet. And if they haven't started the waiver process yet, I think it's happening tonight. Realistically, the playoffs are not here for the Giants. I think it's time for culture change. And I think it might mean Brian Sabian's going to have a nice long chat with Bruce Bochy about his options for next year. He could come into next season as a lame duck manager. That's one of his options. Or I think the better option for him might be for him to walk. I think whether it is retirement, whether it's a promotion to the front office, or a mutual parting of ways, I'm really starting to think it's time for Bochy to go. He had a nice run. I'll thank him for the 3 championships, but I don't want to see him oversee a rebuild situation. And lately he's just doing a lot of things I really disagree with on. He's mismanaging the youngsters. He's become a lot more stubborn. He's At times he just seems like he's just not into the game anymore. I just I I just don't know what's up with Bochy, but I just think he's starting to mail it in, and there just needs to be major changes this offseason. I'm really starting to believe that major changes need to be made, and it might be from manager on down. They tried reassigning everybody. That didn't work. The problem is Bochy. I think his model's not working. The business model's just not working anymore, and they need to start next month of getting a managerial search ready to go. If it was up to me, I would be telling Bochy he's not coming back next season. He's had the 3 rings, but it just seems like he's not in great health, and he just seems a lot of times this year. There's been a lot of times where his head's just not in the game. He's not been sharp this year, and he's just becoming a lot more stubborn to his veterans. I just think Bochy's better off in the front office or going fishing and enjoying life. I know the Giants wanted one last hurrah, but the even year magic's over. And it's time for Larry Baer and the front office to start having this talk about the future. Start getting a list of managerial candidates ready to go. And I would not even consider retaining a lot of this coaching staff next year. It might be time to do something the 49ers did a couple years ago with Chip Kelly. They need to have that Dr. Phil moment that Jed York had a couple years ago where the GM and coach went out at the same time. I think if Bochy goes, I think Bobby Evans needs to be fired. I think he's going to be the scapegoat this offseason. Maybe you move David Bell to the GM role. I think that would be a great fit. David Bell's done a great job with the scouting department, and I think he's ready for more responsibility as in a GM capacity. I think he's ready for it. I think David Bell would make a great GM and be a good replacement for Bobby Evans. But as for Bochy's replacement, it needs to come from the outside. You could talk Bochy into stepping down for the rest of the season and giving Hensley Mullins an opportunity to manage in the interim. Not going to happen, but question is, do you want Hensley Mullins managing the team next year? Honestly, I don't. I think it needs to be an outside hire. Maybe you start talking to Ryan Christensen of the Oakland A's, the bench coach of the A's. I think he's a great young mind. And the way Bob Melvins ran the A's team, he's going to get a big extension this offseason. And I think Ryan Christensen could be a sleeper to get a managerial gig next year. With all the success the Oakland A's have had this year, I think Ryan Christensen is certainly a candidate worth looking. But I would not go the route of a retread for a manager. Some people are thinking Mike Matheny. I think Matheny needs to take a step back and be a bench coach somewhere next year. Everybody's talking about Joe Girardi. Joe Girardi could be another possibility. He is old school. The only downside is I don't know if he'd fit a youth movement in San Francisco, so that would be a con with Joe Girardi. And I think if LA moves on from Dave Roberts, which I think Roberts is going to be on the hot seat in LA for the rest of the year, I realistically see Joe Girardi head to the Dodgers next year. And then Matt Williams, of course, Matt Williams has a little bit of managerial experience. Robbie Thompson's another one who's got coaching experience. I think Robbie Thompson, that would be a sleeper candidate to be the Giants' next manager. And I think that would be, I don't know how much Robbie Thompson is into analytics and all that. I'm wondering if he's still, let's see if he's still coaching. Okay, he was the bench coach of the Mariners. He's kind of been out of coaching, so Robbie Thompson may not necessarily be the best option, but Matt Williams, I think if the Giants were to bring Matt Williams in as a manager, that may not be a bad idea. I think Matt Williams kind of got a bad shake over there in DC. We'll see what Boston's. I wonder who Boston's bench coach is. Rob Thompson. That's another one that could be one worth considering. He should have been maybe. Rob Thompson, I think he's a guy that's going to get some calls for managing vacancies this offseason. With the job he's done with Gabe Kepler, I think he should have gotten a managing gig earlier last year. He should have replaced Joe Girardi in New York. But I think Rob Thompson may be a guy to consider for. And if you want to go in-house, one nobody's talking about is maybe Eli Whiteside. He's young. Maybe Eli Whiteside could be a candidate with analytics. But I think in September, I think the writing's on the wall on this team that it's just maybe time for a new voice in the dugout. And Bochy's had a great run, but I think it's just time for him to hang it up. Not exactly the way that we want to see Bochy retire with the whimper. But you know what? I've seen this with Joe Torre. He had his 4 championships in 5 years with the Yankees. After that, it was a slow decline for the Yankees, and he was gone. So look at Joe Torre. Look at Cito Gaston with the Toronto Blue Jays. They had the 2 championships. Then a couple years after that, he was bounced. Terry Francona with the Red Sox. He won 2 championships with the Red Sox, and then it's just, I feel the time has come for a new voice in the dugout for the Giants. And we'll see if we'll see what happens tomorrow, but I think we will see Chris Stratton up with the Giants tomorrow. Now it's on for a 4-game series against the New York Mets. Not exactly a ballpark to go when your bats need to get going. And it will be Derek Holland against former Giant prospect Zach Wheeler, who's having a really good year with the Mets. 8-6 and a 3.75 ERA. And this is also a Mets team that they're going through a lot more questions than answers too. This is a Mets team that is going through the process of refusing to rebuild. And I think the Mets, they're going to have to make some tough decisions this offseason on whether or not to trade Jacob deGrom or Noah Syndergaard. And I think they are going to need to tear it down to the Bolts and Queens. But maybe this is a series that gets the Giants back on track. We'll see how long McCutchen stays on the Giants this week. I think at some point he's going to be on his way to either Cleveland or Philadelphia. I think he's going to get moved on waivers along with Sam Dyson. But game 1 will be Derek Holland against Zach Wheeler. Game 2 will be, I think likely it'll be Chris Stratton going up against Steven Matz. That's what my guess is. It'll likely be Stratton for game 2. Then with game 3 on Wednesday will likely be against Thor. It will likely be Casey Kelly against Noah Syndergaard in game 3. And game 4, you get DeGrom against Madison Bumgarner. And certainly, and also they need to get a good outing out of Derek Holland. The bullpen's been a little overworked as of late, so it'd be nice to see Holland get at least 5 or 6 innings tomorrow. Get the good Derek Holland going. But at this point, the Giants just simply need to move on from the playoff race, start making some trades, get some prospects back for Dyson and McCutchen. Start focusing on 2019. Start getting those start thinking about who do you want to replace Bochy. I think the writing's on the wall. So rest in peace. All right, on to the MLB Roundup for today. The Yankees beat the Blue Jays 10-2, taking the win J.A. Happ. Taking the loss, Ryan Baruki, who surrendered 6 earned in 2/3 of an inning pitched. Ronald Torres goes 3 for 4 for the Bombers. And then also Tim Maiza allows 4 earned in 2/3 of an inning pitched. In Boston, the Rays blanked the Red Sox 2-0. Taking the win is Alan Beeks. Taking the loss is Hector Velazquez. And it's a 2-hit shutout by Beeks to his former team today for Boston. And just tough luck by the Red Sox. No, the bats just were terrible today. In Cleveland, the Indians beat the Orioles 8-0, taking the win. Mike Clevenger taking the loss. Jeffrey Ramirez, who surrendered 7 earned and walks 5 in 3 innings pitched. Chris Davis goes 2 for 3. Cedric Mullins goes 2 for 3. And in D.C. today, the Marlins beat the Nationals 12-1, taking the win Jose Urena. Taking the loss, Gio Gonzalez, who gets pounded for 8 earned in 4 2/3 innings pitched. Nationals only get 2 hits today. Starlin Castro, have yourself a game, goes 5 for 6. Isaac Galloway goes 3 for 5 for Miami. Galloway also hits his first home run in the major leagues today. Jose Urena, I guess pending appeal, completes a one run shutout, not a complete game, 1 earned run. And I don't know why this fucker is still pitching. This guy should have not been pitching at all. Gio Gonzalez 8 earned in 4 2/3. Tommy Malone 4 earned in 4 innings pitched for Washington. In Atlanta, the Braves lose to the Rockies 4-2, taking the win German Marquez. Taking the loss, Anibal Sanchez, who strikes out 8 in 6 2/3 innings pitched. David Dahl goes 2 for 3 for the Rockies. Trevor Story hits his 26th home run on the season. And games currently in progress right now. In the top of the 11th in Pittsburgh, the Cubs and the Pirates are tied at 1 apiece. Currently pitching is Richard Rodriguez, Wilson Contreras at bat. And Jameson Tylon, a great outing today. 8 strikeouts and 6 innings pitched, 1 earned run. Currently in the South Side, The White Sox lead the Royals 7-6 in the middle of the 8th inning. Omar Narvaez going 2 for 3 for the White Sox. Jorge Bonifacio 3 for 4 for Kansas City. Not a good day for Heath Fillmyer, 6 earned in 3 innings pitched. Reynaldo Lopez only survives 2 innings, strikes out 5, allows 6 earned runs. And in Minneapolis, the Twins and Tigers tied at 4 apiece. Jim Adducci going 3 for 4 for the Twins today. Jake Odorizzi strikes out 7 in 5 innings pitched. Buck Farmer, the opener today, 2 earned in 2 1/3 innings pitched. Zach Reininger, 2 earned in 1 2/3 for Detroit. In St. Louis, the Cardinals losing to the Brewers 2-1 in the middle of the 9th inning. And Yola Chassin pitches 6 shutout innings for the Brewers. John Gant, 2 earned in 4 1/3 innings pitched. In Arlington, top of the 6th, after a rain delay, the Angels lead the Rangers 2-1. Giovanni Gallardo pitching for the Rangers. David Fletcher, 2 for 3 for the Halos. Jaime Barria, an earned run in 5 innings pitched. Gallardo, 2 earned in 5 2/3 innings pitched. And currently on the other side of I-80, the A's currently trailing the Astros 4-2, the bottom of the 3rd inning. Sean Manaea allowing 4 earned in 3 innings pitched thus far. Justin Verlander, 2 earned in 2 2/3 innings pitched for Houston, with first place on the line today between both teams. In the bottom of the 3rd, tied 2 apiece in San Diego between the Diamondbacks and the Padres. Zach Greinke on the mound, 2 earned in 3 innings pitched, along with, for San Diego, Brett Kennedy. In Seattle, the LA Dodgers currently blanking the Seattle Mariners 5-0. Pitching for the Ronecilius, 5 earned in 2 1/3 innings pitched for the Mariners. Justin Turner, 1 for 1. Ryan Dozier, 1 for 2. Manny Machado, 1 for 2. Cody Bellinger, 1 for 2. Chris Taylor, 1 for 2. Clayton Kershaw has pitched 2 scoreless innings for the Dodgers today. And down on the farm, It's like the PCL site is giving me issues again. Well, I guess the thing's not going to work for me today, so I'll have to do something else. Try something else. I guess the Giants are. I guess PCL is off until Tuesday. And it will be the Battle of 99 this week in Sacramento. The Fresno Grizzlies take on the Sacramento River Cats. That will start Tuesday until as we are heading into the final 2 weeks of the PCL season. With Fresno's magic number, I think, down to 8. I'm going to look at that in a minute. See, with September call-ups on the way, not going to be a lot of realistic call-ups for the Giants here. Then Las Vegas visits Sacramento this next weekend, and the Bees will go to Fresno before we head into the final week of the PCL season. And right now in the PCL American Northern, the OKC Dodgers hold a 1-game lead over the Colorado Springs Sky Sox. In the PCL American Southern, the magic number for the Memphis Redbirds to win the division is 6. Fresno's magic number is 9, with Reno being 7 back at 72 and 53 on the year. The El Paso Chihuahuas' magic number to win the PCL Pacific Southern is 8 games. And as I say, there's only about 2 weeks left in the PCL season. And hopefully for the Giants, it will be a better trip to Citi Field here as they play the Mets for the first time this year, starting tomorrow. After that, they head back home and of course Thursday there will be no show since it will be a 10 a.m. game on the West Coast. Then they go home to play Texas Arizona and the Mets again. So we'll see what happens at AT&T. But at that point, the playoffs are a lost cause. We'll see what the roster looks like when they head back this way. Now, if the season were to end today, that would be a one-game playoff between Houston and Oakland. The winner would face Cleveland in the first round. The loser would play the Yankees in the wild card game, with Boston playing the wild card winner. Seattle 3.5 back. Atlanta and Philly tied for the division in the AL East at 68 and 55. Chicago at 71-51. Arizona and Colorado. So we would have a lot of interesting one-game playoff scenarios. We would have Atlanta and Philadelphia play each other in a one-game playoff. The loser would be the number one wild card at this moment. And then Chicago would play the wild card winner. Arizona and Colorado would hold a one-game playoff to determine the West. And then the loser of that, the loser would play St. Louis in a one-game playoff. So that would get interesting. The NL West division loser in the playoff would play another playoff to determine the second wild card at this moment, with a tie for the second wild card between Arizona, Colorado, and St. Louis. Milwaukee just a half a game back. LA 2 games back. Pittsburgh barely staying alive along with Washington. I think the Giants, their season's done, despite the tragic number being 31. That's all I can say. And then, believe it or not, Kansas City and Baltimore, they're 4 and 2 games out from being mathematically eliminated from the postseason period. All right, that will conclude it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you guys have a great Sunday. Hopefully it'll be a better Monday. Hopefully we shall see, though, if we start seeing some roster moves get made in the coming days. So everybody have a good afternoon. We will see you tomorrow. Goodbye.